Simon starts off the narrative fighting demons after a car accident that left him with some serious brain trauma. He talks about his brain bleeding like it is just a minor inconvenience, which is honestly a chaotic mood. He is visiting Dr. Munshi for a specialized scan that is supposed to help him out, but the whole medical setup feels a little bit low budget and sketchy from the jump. Arriving at the lab, Simon is just trying to get this over with so he can move on with his life. He drinks the tracer fluid, which he describes as tasting like a penny, which is gross. He sits in the chair expecting a normal medical procedure, completely unaware that he is about to get the biggest reality check of his entire existence. The vibes are calm but suspicious. The scan executes and suddenly the lights cut out. When Simon wakes up, the office is gone, replaced by a rusty industrial nightmare. He is confused and calling out for the doctor, but nobody is home. This is the ultimate bad start to the day. He has been transported from a comfortable chair in Toronto to a leaky metallic facility that looks like it has not seen a janitor in a century. Simon encounters a robot that is convinced it is a human in need of help. It is honestly tragic and disturbing to watch. The robot is begging for assistance, but it is physically just a pile of scrap metal with a consciousness attached. Talk about a severe identity crisis. Simon is rightfully creeped out and decides to shut the thing down because it is just too much to handle. Simon locates an Omni tool, which is basically the skeleton key for this entire underwater facility. He gets a lecture from a computer terminal about security protocols, but honestly, he just needs to open doors to survive. He is slowly realizing that he is definitely not in Toronto anymore, and the situation is getting more desperate by the minute. He needs to start acting like a main character to survive. Finally, someone picks up the radio. It is a woman named Catherine, and she sounds relatively normal compared to the insane robots yapping earlier. She tells Simon to head to the comm center. Having a friendly voice in his ear is the only thing keeping him from completely losing his mind right now. She becomes his only link to understanding this messed up world. The facility is falling apart around him, and Simon uncovers data logs about the chaos that happened here. The staff tried to evacuate to a place called Theta, but everything went south. It is like reading the group chat logs after a massive drama blowout, except everyone involved is actually dead. The backstory is painting a picture of total institutional failure. Simon finally connects with Catherine properly, and she drops the bomb that he is in Pathos II, and the year is 2104. He is in denial, thinking this is just a vivid fever dream or a prank, but the reality is way harsher. He is over 100 years in the future, deep underwater, and everyone he ever knew is long gone. It is a massive existential crisis moment. Attempting to take a shuttle to meet Catherine, the transport crashes mid-journey. Simon is left stranded on the ocean floor, walking through the abyss. The visuals are stunning, but the crushing pressure and the giant sea monsters lurking in the distance are absolute nightmare fuel. He has to keep walking through the darkness, hoping his suit holds up against the elements. Simon wakes up after the crash and has a panic attack when he realizes he is underwater but breathing fine. Catherine has to explain that he is in a diving suit body, which is a hard pill to swallow. He is struggling to process that his human body died a century ago. He is basically a ghost in a machine, and the dysmorphia is real. Hi there. If you want to enjoy more gaming lore without grinding for 60 hours, hit that subscribe button. I do the grinding so you don't have to. Your support really helps the channel. Simon finally meets Catherine face to face, but she is just a Cortex chip inside a broken robot. He plugs her into his Omni tool, making her his portable companion. She explains the ARK Project, which is a digital heaven for scanned human minds. It is their only ticket out of this underwater hellscape. The goal is to launch it into space to save humanity. They discover a sunken ship called the Curie. It is leaking radiation and is infested with mutated monsters. Simon has to navigate this death trap to find a working escape vessel. The atmosphere is tense, filled with glowing green nuclear waste and the constant threat of getting jump-scared by a proxy. He needs to secure a ride before the radiation cooks him. Simon manages to board the escape vessel, but the system is locked down. He has to override it while listening to heartbreaking audio logs of the original crew, realizing the world was ending from a comet impact. It is some serious emotional damage hearing their final moments of despair while trying to save his own skin. The stakes feel incredibly high. They crash land at Delta Station. Simon has to deal with a robot that thinks it is part of a Zeppelin crew. He has to steal a tool chip from it, which effectively kills the robot. Simon is starting to realize that survival down here requires some morally gray choices. He tries to justify it, but you can tell he feels guilty about being a murderer. On the Zeppelin transport, Simon and Catherine have a deep heart-to-heart. Simon is struggling with the fact that he is a robot. He feels human inside, but his hands are metal claws. Catherine tries to explain that his mind is just adapting to the new hardware to keep him sane. It is a heavy conversation about what it actually means to be alive. They arrive at Theta and find a scanning room. Simon learns about the concept of legacy scans and how people literally unalive themselves to ensure their digital copies were the real ones. It is a twisted logic that the crew used to cope with the apocalypse. The realization that his existence is just data is starting to settle in, and it is disturbing. Exploring the living quarters of Theta is eerie. It is a total ghost town. Simon sees personal items, photos, and sticky notes left behind by the crew. It really drives home the fact that these were real people with complex lives and dreams before everything went to zero. It is not just a facility, it is a graveyard of memories. Simon discovers that he is actually a scan of a scan. He sees his own source file on the computer terminal. It is a massive reality check. He is just software running on hardware. He decides to delete the source file to ensure no other Simons have to suffer through this nightmare. It is a moment of taking control over his own narrative. They need a security cipher from a guy named Brandon Wan. The problem is, Brandon is extremely dead. They have to simulate his mind in a computer environment and trick him into giving up the code. It is basically digital necromancy and feels completely wrong. They are disturbing the dead just to open a door, which is a new low for Simon. The simulation keeps failing because Brandon panics every time he realizes he is not in the real world. They have to gaslight him by using a voice recording of his girlfriend, Alice, to calm him down. It works, but Simon feels absolutely terrible about manipulating a dead man's consciousness. It is a toxic situation, but they get the code they need. The Dunbat, their submarine ride to the abyss, is ruined because the WOW has corrupted it. The WOW is the rogue AI that keeps trying to save everyone by turning them into monsters. Now their plan is ruined, and they have to go to Omicron to find a power suit that can withstand the pressure. The journey just keeps getting harder. Arrival at Omicron is stressful. The place is in strict lockdown, and they have to figure out a way inside. The tension is high because they are running out of options and time. Simon is getting tired of everything going wrong, but Catherine keeps pushing him to focus on the mission. She is the brains, and he is the brawn. Simon has to find a new body because his current suit cannot handle the abyss. The power suit they need already has a dead person inside it, a woman named Raleigh. He has to clean it out and prepare it for a mind transfer. It is absolutely grotesque. But at this point, Simon is becoming desensitized to the body horror around him. This is the moment that breaks everyone. Simon sits in the pilot's seat to copy his mind into the new suit. He thinks it is a transfer, like cut and paste. He wakes up in the new body, feels great, but then he hears his old self speaking from the chair behind him. The realization is instant and horrifying. Simon realizes that the scan is a copy, not a move. The old Simon is still in the chair, confused and alone. He has to choose whether to shut down his old self or leave him to wake up alone in a locked room. It is a brutal moral choice. He is basically abandoning himself to die. Catherine tries to explain that this was always how the technology worked. The coin toss theory is a lie people tell themselves to feel better. There is no magic transfer of consciousness. Simon is furious and terrified. He is now the copy, and he just left the original version of himself behind. The guilt is absolutely crushing him right now. They descend into the abyss. The ocean is pitch black and the pressure is immense. The wildlife down here is aggressive and warped by the WOW's structure gel. Simon is just a small light in the darkness, trying to reach the Tau station before he gets eaten by a leviathan. It is the loneliest and most dangerous part of the trip. Simon navigates through the darkness, relying on lights to stay on the path. He is hallucinating or just losing it from the isolation. He keeps talking to Catherine just to stay grounded in reality. She is the only thing keeping him from giving up and letting the ocean take him. The bond between them is the only human thing left. They reach Tau Station. It is claustrophobic, and the crew is long dead. Starvation and madness took them out months ago. Simon finds the ARK. It is just a small computer box, but it contains the last remnants of humanity's minds. It feels heavy with importance and sadness. It is the final payload they need to save. Simon meets the last human alive, Sarah Lindwall. She is on life support, guarding the ARK. She is frail and tired. Meeting a flesh and blood human after all this time is surreal for Simon. She gives Simon the ARK and asks him to take it. She is ready to let go of her watch. Sarah asks Simon to unplug her life support. She does not want to die alone and slowly in the dark. She wants to go out on her own terms while someone is there with her. Simon grants her wish. It is a mercy killing, but it still weighs heavy on his conscience. Now he is truly the last conscious being on Earth. Simon carries the ARK through the freezing abyss toward the Omega space gun at Phi. He has to get past the Alpha site where the WAU heart is located. The environment is hostile and his suit is taking a beating. Every step is a struggle against the physics of the ocean. He is literally carrying the weight of the world. At Alpha, Simon confronts the WAU directly. He has the option to poison it, killing the AI that created the monsters but also kept the station running. It is a choice between ending the suffering or maintaining the twisted life support. He decides to shut it down, ending the WOW's reign of terror once and for all. They finally arrive at Phi, the launch site. The space gun is massive. They have to load the ARK into a shell casing. This is the final stretch. Everything they have suffered through leads to this one moment. The fate of humanity is literally in his hands. The tension is palpable as they prep the gun. Simon loads the ARK into the cannon. He has a moment of reflection, realizing he is doing this for a future he might not really be a part of. Catherine preps the launch sequence. They talk about what they will do once they get onto the ARK, dreaming of a digital paradise where they can just relax. Simon sits in the pilot seat, The plan is to copy their minds onto the ARK right as it launches. He is hyped. He thinks he is going to paradise. He pushes the button. The gun fires. The ARK shoots into space. It is a moment of triumph. They actually did it. Humanity is saved. The screen goes black then. Nothing changes. Simon is still in the seat. He starts panicking. He calls out to Catherine, asking why they are still here. Catherine tries to explain. The copy made it. The copy is on the ARK. But they are still here. They lost the coin toss again. The realization is devastating. The realization hits Simon like a truck. He is screaming at Catherine, calling her a liar, completely losing his composure. It is a total meltdown. Catherine tries to defend herself, but her system crashes from the stress. Simon is left alone in the dark at the bottom of the ocean. It is the ultimate bad ending for this version of him. In the post-credits scene, a different Simon wakes up. He is in a lush green park. He looks at his hands. They are human. He sees Catherine waiting for him. They made it. The ARK is safe in space. It is a bittersweet perfection, knowing that while this version gets paradise, the other Simon is rotting in the abyss. Gaming lore is long and confusing, but I break it down every week. Subscribe so you never miss a plot twist or hidden detail. Thanks for watching.